All right, now we're recording. You see the little red button. We actually already did this discussion. So, Mr. Baldwin, to recap, your client, Mr. Baldwin, or your former client now, Mr. Smith is ABM is going to get a new client, a new attorney. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes. And then we discussed that I didn't anticipate, and you said you did not expect any further discovery in this matter, correct?
I do not anticipate any further discovery. I just presenting to the court and representing to the court at this time that I anticipate that replacement will be providing
I'm sorry, what?
replacement counsel will be providing rebuttal testimony as it relates to depositions that was previously given by these two witnesses that Mr. Sultan put on the record today.
Well, yeah, the new attorney will have to decide how they're going to, what witnesses or not witnesses they're going to put on. And you did give a list of witnesses, although Ms. Prosser said she didn't think they were going to be called. I was very clear that the respondent had the opportunity to change their mind about calling any witnesses if they chose to do so, because they did have witnesses listed. So that is not changed at all. So in the future, we will schedule this. We anticipate, you said 3 weeks, I said about a month. So about 4 weeks, I expect to hear from an attorney who is representing Mr. Smith or ABM. And that person will then, once that person has filed a notice, then we will schedule some time of the conference to discuss the rescheduling of this case. And we're still going to start just where we are now, where Mr. Sultan is questioning Ms. Moore, and we're going to have that testimony that he was presenting, but then there will be a different counsel who will be in a better position to take Mr. Smith's position. Now, of course, I certainly would expect the parties to try to settle this matter. It would make things much easier for everybody if it was done that way, but I don't know if that will happen. So, but in any case, we will continue, if we do continue at the point that we have stopped today. This was just a break to allow Mr. Smith as ABM to get a new attorney and Mr. Baldwin to prepare if he's going to be called as a witness, which I would assume the new attorney will call Mr. Baldwin as a witness, but that's a different story. So, and then Mr. Sultan was wanting a status conference, and I said that again, we will do that once I know the respondent has a new attorney, and then we'll proceed from there. I do not anticipate any new discovery. There will be allowing for supplementation of the exhibit list and, of course, the witness list, just to allow Mr. Baldwin to testify in response to this questions that have been asked, and also any documents that he wants to, or that the new attorney wants to use in connection with that. I think that was all that was said. Mr. Baldwin, or Mr. Sultan, anything else that I either said before, didn't say this time, or a new issue?
No, I think that recap is accurate.
Okay, and Mr. Baldwin, same?
Yes, nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it. And again, I'm very sad that we're not going to finish today and tomorrow like we were supposed to, but I don't feel I have any other choice in this matter given what has occurred. And I certainly hope this will never happen again, because I would expect there to be more open and transparent discussions between the parties that would allow this to be heard and understood well before the hearing, so we don't have this kind of a problem. This is a significant expense and problem for both clients that should not have occurred. And I certainly urge the parties to figure out a way to resolve this matter. But if you choose, then we'll go on to hearing again, but with this additional cost that should not have happened. All right, thank you very much, and have a nice day, and I will see you and hear from you in about a month. Thank you. You'll see in the upper right-hand corner, there's that little red dot that says we are recording. Please make sure that you see that. If you recall, we had a problem last time that I did not show that. and then we didn't end up having a recording, so that's not good. So we had to restate everything. So Mr. Baldwin has gone away, and Mr. Sultan, you were for dark for a while. So Mr. Baldwin, is he still here? Okay, good. All right. So this is ERD case number, let me see, ERD case number 202000761. The complainant is Willie Buford versus Associates Building Maintenance, and the hearing was started back on May 24th, 2021. This is a hearing that was based on a complaint that was filed on March 18th, 2020. And then there was an amended initial determination that was issued on June 29th, 2020, stating that there's probable cause to believe that the respondent violated the Wisconsin Fair Employment Act by discharging the complainant because the complainant opposed a discriminatory practice under the WFEA, discharging the complainant because the complainant made a complaint under the WFEA, and discharging the complainant because the complainant testified or assisted in a proceeding under the WFEA. Since there was a finding of probable cause, this matter was certified to hearing for a hearing on the merits. As I said, the first day of hearing was back on May 25th, 24th, 2021. We've had, there was an issue back on that day. We were supposed to have 2 days of hearing, hopefully to have finished it then. There was a whole big problem with the complainants calling a witness who appeared to make it probable that Mr. Baldwin, the response attorney, would have to testify in this matter. So we had a break so there could be a discussion. There's been many motions and many rulings. And the upshot is that Mr. Baldwin is still the respondent's attorney, but Ms. Fleming, Nicole Fleming, is now part of this case, and she will be, I'm not quite sure what how they're splitting it up, but if Mr. Baldwin testifies, Ms. Fleming will be able to testify. And it's my understanding that Mr. Smith is waiving any conflict that there might be for Mr. Baldwin to be both his attorney and his and a witness in this matter. And Mr. Baldwin, or Mr. Smith, you're here in person. So I want to make sure that you understand that and that you are waiving any conflict issue between having Mr. Baldwin be both your attorney and a witness in this matter. Could you state that?
I understand.
Okay, and you're waiving that
Yes.
conflict? Okay,
That's correct.
good. All right, thank you. All right, so then, as I said, we are here now for the second day of hearing. This is Administrative Law Judge Alice DeLeo, DELAO. The complainant is not here, and that was because the complainant's attorney has decided that after Mr. Buford testified at the first day hearing that he wanted him to be available to testify as a rebuttal witness without knowing the testimony of any other witnesses, and he decided not to have his client in the room. And that was a decision made between them, and it's on the record at the last hearing. So Mr. Buford is not here at this point. He was here earlier. We had a discussion of settlement. Those discussions of settlement were not successful. If the parties want to discuss settlement again, I really urge you to do so, and to talk to each other. Let me know if you need time later on as this matter progresses. So for the complainant is not here at this time, but his attorney is, and speaking for the attorney, the complainant in this matter is Mr. Sultan. You want to state your appearance, please?
Good morning. William Sultan appears on behalf of the complaining party, Willie Buford.
Okay. And for the respondent, I'm still not clear who's going to be the main attorney. So can we have some information regarding that and a statement for appearances for the respondent?
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Timothy Baldwin appears on behalf of the respondent, ABM properties along with my colleague, Nicole Fleming.
And who will be the
I
lead
am lead
counsel?
counsel.
Okay. And so we also have the respondent's owner, Mr. Corey Smith, is also present. And as we discussed with him earlier, that he is waiving any conflict between letting Mr. Baldwin be his attorney and his witness in this matter. All right. So I think we were in the middle of having Ms. Moore testify. When we were here last, she was still in her direct examination, and she had testified to one of the two telephone discussions that she had with Mr. Baldwin. Is that correct, Mr. Sultan?
She testified about one telephone conversation she had with Mr. Baldwin. That is correct.
Right, but there were two of them, is what I understand from the transcript, and we had not gotten to the second.
I accept that representation.
Well, that's what's in the transcript, so I hope that's the representation it is. All right, so then, is there anything we need to discuss before we begin the testimony of Ms. Moore again?
I just need to go get her to bring her into the room.
Okay, that's fine, but is there any legal issues or anything we need to discuss before she comes back in?
Not for the complaining party, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Baldwin? And not anything I've already ruled on. I've ruled on lots of things. She's testifying. So is there anything else that we have not ruled on?
We, with the revelation that Ms. Moore is present this morning, we have our standing objection for appeal.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. Mr. Sultan, go get Ms. Fleming. She's no longer in my lobby, so you'll have to get back into my lobby. Okay, go ahead. All right, I don't see Mr. Sultan, Mr. Baldwin, or Ms. Moore. So if you have your cameras on, please put them on. Ms. Moore, I see no camera, and she is muted. And Mr. Sultan, you're off camera and muted. Okay, Mr. Sultan, you're on, correct? And I have Ms. Moore. Everybody's back on record. Okay, so, I mean, I did go off record, but you're all back on screen. One thing I had forgotten to make sure again, as I discussed earlier, are you still going to be getting me a transcript? If you get me a transcript, I can let you move faster. If you don't get me a transcript, then I have to slow you down, make sure that I get as much down as possible, because I don't take shorthand, and I don't have a photographic memory, so I'm not going to remember everything you say and be able to remember it. And I don't have time to go back and look at this video again and again and again to make my decision. So I need to do it from my notes. So I need you to slow down and let me do that. Or if you're going to get a transcript, then I can rely on that transcript to come. So again, Mr. Sultan, Is there an agreement still about splitting the cost of the transcript to get a transcript in this matter?
Believe so, although we've only, we've paid for it, so, but I believe that agreement is still there.
Okay. And Mr. Baldwin, last time, I believe it was Ms. Prasser, who's no longer here, agreed to split the costs for a transcript. Are
Yes,
you going to respond? I don't hear anything.
yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor, that's what Ms. Prasser did, or yes, Your Honor, that is what you're agreeing to do the
Yes,
transcript
we are
again?
agreeing to cover the cost or split the cost of a transcript.
Okay, great. All right. And so when you do that again next time, make sure it's the way it was the very last time, not in the piecemeal way that we got the original transcripts that were kind of a mess. The last format was the right format. So I appreciate you can get that done that way again. All right. So then I appreciate Ms. Moore coming back to testify in this matter. And the complainant's continuing witness is Ms. Natasha Moore. Now, Ms. Moore, it's been over a year since you testified, so I am going to swear you in again. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. And you understand that you are required to tell the truth under threat of prosecution for perjury, correct? Okay, now you're going to need to speak up. I think we had this problem before. There was some problem with audio from Mr. Sultan's phone that we were using at the time. And now you're very soft-spoken, which is fine, except for when we're doing a hearing. And we really need to have you have a stronger voice. So pretend you're outside or pretend you're talking to people in a loud, busy place that you need to be heard in. All right?
Okay.
All right. So,
Can we
Mr.
do something with her
Sultan,
volume, please?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is there a possibility we can do something with her volume on her mic?
I don't know how to do it, Mr. Sultan. Can you do something?
See, yeah, maybe just talk louder.
Can you say your name and we'll see how that worked?
Natasha Moore.
No, that did help. I don't know what you did, but maybe she just got closer, but it sounds better. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Good idea, Mr. Baldwin. All right. So let's begin. As I said, we had been halfway or somewhat through Ms. Moore's testimony. And if you want to pick up around the time we left off so that we can continue the proceedings, go ahead, Mr. Sultan.
Yes, sir. If I could just orient the witness with complainant's exhibit 6.
Okay, 1 second. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to mention. You know, we had response exhibit 9, complaints exhibit 3, complainants exhibit 4, and complaints exhibit 9, all marked last hearing. All of them were just used for purposes of refreshing memory. None of them were admitted. So I just want to be clear, there are no exhibits in this matter that have been admitted. So don't think that anything was, it was not. And you said 6, is that correct? Right, I'm going to mark. Marking the exhibit, that's what's taking so long. All right. Okay, I'm going to share now. All right, can you see? I've got what has been marked as Complaints Exhibit 6. It starts on this page with the title ERD 037, and I believe it goes to, let's see. ERD 045. All right, so what is it that you want to look at? Are you offering this into the record, Mr. Sultan?
Yes, move the admission of Exhibit 6.
Well, I mean, you haven't done the basis for it, but I just want to know what you were doing with it. So please do the foundation.
Can you see Exhibit 6 on your screen?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm having some kind of an echo. Are you in the same room together?
Here we are.
Well, since you're in one big room and you're both talking without headsets, I am hearing the echo.
Just give me one moment. I'm in a separate room. Is this better?
Okay, Ms. Moore, can you talk? Just say your name.
Natasha Moore.
Okay, great. Yes, I'm not hearing that echo. Okay, so I have marked, as I said, complaints Exhibit 6, which appears to be a complaint, a circuit court complaint. Go ahead.
Good morning, Ms. Moore. Can you see Exhibit 6 on your screen?
Do you see it?
Yes.
Have you seen Exhibit 6 before?
Yes.
Can you tell me what it is?
Do you need me to scroll down? I can let you see it better.
Yes.
All right, tell me what it is.
It's a complaint.
Is it your complaint?
Yes.
And who was it against?
Next Door Foundation.
I move the admission of Exhibit 6, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, Exhibit 6 is admitted. 1 second. Let me make sure my log is updated. All right, that's admitted now. Go ahead. You want to have her looking at Exhibit 6 still?
So you could just scroll down a little bit.
Okay.
Scroll up a little bit, actually.
Which way do you want?
There you go. It's enough. Looking from file stamp. It's more
I mean, that's the
What
title
date-
page, so that's not going to be it. What is it that you're looking for?
top right corner has the file stamp on it.
This?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Moore, what date did you file your complaint against a Nextdoor Foundation?
I'm not 100% sure the exact date that I filed it.
Towards the top right of the page, do you see a file date?
September 24th, 2019. I'm just not good with exact dates. I knew about the time, but not the exact date. But yeah, it was September 24th, 2019.
For
Does
your
that seem
memory,
correct?
when you
Well, let's see.
that's
Ms. Moore, do
correct.
you feel that that seems correct to you?
Yes.
Okay, so I want you to testify to what you actually know. And if
Okay.
you don't know, let us know that, okay?
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Moore, or Mr. Sultan.
Ms. Moore, prior to your when you were testifying last time, you were testifying about a telephone conversation with Mr. Baldwin. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do we need to keep sharing this document?
No.
Okay.
Did that telephone conversation with Mr. Baldwin take place before or after you filed your lawsuit against Nextdoor Foundation?
After.
Do you remember when you had that telephone conversation with Mr. Baldwin?
It was about October 18th, 2019.
Was there anyone else on the telephone call with you and Mr. Baldwin?
I think Corey was on the phone with us.
Tell me what happened in that telephone call.
They had called me about dropping a lawsuit against Nextdoor Foundation.
What did they say to you?
Well, we was talking about with me filing a lawsuit, and if I didn't drop the lawsuit, it was, with the kids, I'm taking away from the kids, and it'll just be in my best interest to drop the lawsuit.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Did you say that they would be taking away your kids?
No, taken with me suing the Nextdoor Foundation, it will be taken away from the kids at Nextdoor Foundation.
Oh, that are you suing them that there was this Nextdoor Foundation caters to children? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that you would be taking resources from these children?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me just back up here, Ms. Moore. What was your job at Associates Building Maintenance?
A maintenance supervisor, second shift.
Sir, and what does that mean? What did you do on a day-to-day basis?
It was other employees that cleaned the school, and we did all kind of other jobs besides cleaning, fixing stuff, and I supervised them on a daily second shift.
Is Nextdoor Foundation a school?
Yes, it's a preschool.
Is Nextdoor Foundation a public preschool?
Yes.
Back to this telephone conversation with Mr. Baldwin and Mr. Smith. Did they say anything else to you?
I know we talked about dropping a lawsuit, how it would affect the kids in the school. It'll be in my best interest to drop the lawsuit. That's the main points that I remember from the conversation, is that it would be in my best interest to drop the lawsuit. Well, in everybody's best interest if the lawsuit gets dropped.
Did you consider dropping your lawsuit following that conversation?
I did.
You ever express that consideration to Mr. Smith?
I did. I did feel bad if I would be taking from children or something like that with a lawsuit, and if they wasn't able to get the schooling that they needed because I had a lawsuit, I did consider dropping it.
Sure. My question was different. Did you ever express that consideration to Mr. Smith in a subsequent phone call or meeting?
I remember talking to Mr. Smith about it. We had several conversations, but yeah, we talked about it a couple times.
Mr. Did you sue ABM?
Me,
Yes. In your lawsuit against Nextdoor, did you include ABM as a party defendant?
I thought that they included their self, or maybe next door included them. I thought that I was the lawsuit was against Next Door Foundation, not um, Corey or his company.
And so at some point in time, you learned that ABM was involved in your lawsuit as a party.
Right.
Did your discussions with Mr. Smith about dropping the lawsuit, did that become a part of the lawsuit after ABM was brought in?
You said, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Sure. Earlier, you were testifying about how you had a subsequent conversation with Ms. Smith in which you were considering dropping your lawsuit based upon what he had said in a telephone call. You remember saying that, right?
Yeah.
Did that conversation come up in your lawsuit against Nextdoor after ABM was brought in?
Yes. Yes.
Did Mr. Smith support your lawsuit after ABM was brought in as a third-party defendant?
No, not to my knowledge.
Why do you say that?
Because I never understood how he got 100% in the case, so that's kind of beyond me. But after I kept pursuing the lawsuit, no, I don't think he supported me. I know he didn't. As far as the
Why do you say
lawsuit,
that?
huh?
And why do you say that he did not support you?
Uh, because the main goal was for me not to have the lawsuit, so it wouldn't be a reason for him to support me.
I want to ask you about Valerie Serrano. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Who is that?
Um, she she worked in the office with Mr. Smith, and I
What's she
also knew
doing there?
her. She was a bartender. Also, I knew her previously from bar being a bartender, and then I met her again in the office with Mr. Smith.
And Miss Serrano supervise maintenance or janitorial staff?
I didn't know that she supervised the maintenance. I thought she worked in the clerical part of the company, as far as paychecks and office work, to my knowledge.
Based on what you know with your interactions with Miss Serrano and her position at ABM, did she have any professional cleaning training?
Not that I know of. I never knew her to be a cleaner. I don't know. I thought she was office person or in a bartender.
Those are all the questions that I have for Ms. Moore.
All right, then, do you have any cross, Mr. Baldwin? Are you doing the cross?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Ms. Moore.
Good morning.
Ms. Moore, you and I have met before, is that correct?
Yes,
And the nature of how we met was related to an unfortunate incident that involved the Next Door Foundation, is that correct?
yes,
In fact, you were victimized by one of their employees, isn't that correct?
yes,
And as a result of that, that matter was reported to your employer, ABM, is that correct?
yes.
From your recollection, and I apologize for bringing in such a sensitive issue, um, this matter went on for a little bit, and then um, it, it went further, and finally you reported it to Mr. Buford, correct?
Yes.
And when you reported it to Mr. Buford, Mr. Buford acted quickly, is that correct?
Uh, I don't know exactly how quickly or what your quickly is considered to my quickly, but I do know that he eventually reported it to Mr. Smith.
From my understanding, you met with um, the administration of NDF on March 18th of 2019 regarding this incident. Is that correct?
I don't know if that's the exact date, but I do remember meeting them.
And
I'm sorry, who did you meet with? I missed that, please.
the administration of the Next Door Foundation.
Okay. And do you have an approximate time frame that you recall this happening, Ms. Moore?
It was probably about that time. I'm not exactly 100% for sure. I do remember meeting with them.
Okay, and so this time would have been, what was the time frame you gave her, Mr. Baldwin?
March 18th, 2019.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Now, Mr. Buford was in attendance with that meeting with you?
He didn't come in a meeting at the same time I did. I met with them and he met with them separately.
Separately.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. Could you say that again, please?
He asked if me and Mr. Buford were in a meeting together. We were not. We met them separately.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And the Next Door Foundation administration took each of your stories. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Um, in fact, is it your testimony that the manner in which they began their investigation, the questions that they were asking made you uncomfortable?
Yes,
Um, in fact, they asked you questions about inappropriate questions about you and Mr. Buford, correct?
they did.
Okay. This was at the beginnings of the reporting of this harassment. Is that correct?
Yes,
At some point thereafter, after this meeting, did Mr. Smith follow up with the Next Door Foundation to check on the status of the alleged assailant, to see if he was still working in the facility?
yes,
In fact, isn't it true that you had some trepidation about um, the alleged assailant continuing to work with you?
yes,
Is your testimony that ABM had to intervene with the Next Door Foundation to try to prevent him from continuing a regular work schedule with you?
yes.
Foundation.
It was a question.
Can you go ahead? Uh, Ask the question. What's your basis for believing that Mr. or ABM or someone from ABM intervened on your behalf on that issue with respect to the sexual harasser working with you?
He had a meeting with Lucretia Dixon about this, and I think her name was Gabrielle. He did have a meeting with them
And
about.
you mean Mr.
I'm
Smith?
sorry. Yeah, Mr. Smith,
And you know that why?
because I was there.
Okay, go ahead then.
Thank you. And Ms. Moore, isn't it true that in connection with Mr. Smith being concerned about your well-being, um, you were invited to a meeting where we discussed a TRO, a temporary restraining order against Mr. Akalana?
I do remember that.
Do you remember going through that form with me?
Yes,
Do you know whether that meeting was in person or over the phone?
in person.
You indicated in your previous testimony that there was a phone call had by yourself and me. Is that correct?
Yes, I remember because I was at work when I received the phone call.
And do you know who placed the phone call? According to your recollection, was it me or was it you?
It was you or Corey. I didn't have your number to call you.
Okay. So you don't recall whether it was myself or Mr. Smith?
Well, I do know you called me and well, both of y'all was on the phone. So I don't know. I can't remember who placed the call.
And you said this is sometime in October?
Yes,
Of what year are we in, 2020 or
20.
2019?
19.
19?
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And it was in that telephone conversation in October 2019 that you indicated in your testimony this morning that Mr. Smith or possibly myself indicated to you that you were somehow taking away from the kids in a lawsuit?
Yeah. He asked me to drop the lawsuit. You asked me to drop the lawsuit.
And it's in that telephone conversation that we said that it would be in your best interest to drop the lawsuit.
It'll be in everyone's best interest if I drop the
Everyone.
lawsuit.
Okay. All right. In your testimony, would you say that ABM was supportive in your lawsuit up until the time that ABM was brought into the lawsuit itself?
No, I think they were supportive of the lawsuit until after Mr. Abdallah got fired, then it was like, okay, you can drop the lawsuit. He gone, and it is what it is.